Okay, so here we are on our last voting method. This is the last page of the 1.2 through 1.5 notes. So for this one, we're going to look at one last way to determine the outcome of an election. And we're going to use what are called pairwise comparisons. So when there's n number of candidates, the comparisons will be n times n minus 1 over 2. Now, it's not particularly important to memorize that, but what that means is as you add candidates, this method gets a little bit unreasonable. So this is a good one to use when we have maybe 3 to 4 candidates. I wouldn't use it with a whole lot more people than that. So what we're going to do is we're going to compare every candidate with every other candidate using the preference schedule. Okay, and I'm going to make a little note here. I find it useful to go column by column. Now, when you get to the examples, you'll see we did a little bit of scaffolding for you so that it's a little bit easier to keep track of the comparisons as you go. So we set up a little bit of a table there. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to count how many voters prefer one candidate over the other. So when you're looking at each column, you're only looking at 2 candidates. So you look at who was higher on the preference schedule, and they're the winner, so they get 1 point, and the loser gets 0 points. If there happens to be a tie, each candidate gets half a point. And then once you compare everybody, the candidate with the most points is the winner. Now, this isn't a really difficult way to do a voting strategy, but it does take a little bit of time, and it's also really easy to make mistakes, so you have to be really careful. All right, so if we look at this example, we've got this preference schedule here. We're going to start by just comparing candidates A and B. So we're not going to look at C or D, only A and B as we go through here. I like to go ahead and write one of the candidates down over here. So I'm going to put A here, and I'm going to put B here. All right, so we're going to go column by column. So I'm going to kind of cover up the rest of this. We're only going to look at this first column, and we're only looking for A and B. So we can see on the preference schedule, B was 3rd and A was 4th. So that means B is the winner. And so he gets 1 point for each vote. So that would be 27 votes. So we're going to give B 27 points. Okay, and then we move on to the second column. So I'm just going to cover everything up with the second column. On this one, you'll notice that A is above B. So A wins that comparison. So we're going to give A 15 points. So we'll come over here to A, and I put 15. Okay, so if we go to the third column, we're only looking at A and B again. So B is above A, so B gets the points, so B gets 11. Looking at this column, we can see that A is above B. A wins that comparison, A gets 9 points. On this column, we see that B is above A, so B wins and they get the 8 points. And then finally, the last column, B is above A, so B is going to get that last point. So what we do is we add those up. So have your calculator handy to add those up. So 24 for A. So if we add up all of these, we get 47. Okay, so B clearly won that comparison. So B beat A, so they get a total of 1 point. All right, so now we're going to do the same thing with A and C. So I'm going to put A over here, C over here. So you have to keep reminding yourselves which letters you're looking at. So out of A and C, C was ranked higher, so they get the 27 votes. If I move to the next column, A beats C, so A gets the 15 points. On the next column, remember we're looking at A and C. A is the winner, so A gets the 11 points. On the next column, A beats C, so A gets the 9 points. On the next column, A beats C, so A gets the 8 points. And then on the last one, A beat C a lot, so A beat them again and they get that last point. So if we add all of these together, 15, 11, 9, 8, and 1, that's 44 points. And then C just had 27. So we can see that A is clearly the winner for that one. Oh, and I didn't put over here, I didn't put whose point it was. So here we have 1 point for B. Here we're going to give 1 point to A. Okay, so this is our total column over here. All right, so here are our winners so far. B won that one, A won that one. So you can see that this gets really time consuming if you have a bunch of candidates. This is just with 4 and it's still fairly tedious. All right, so now we're looking at A and D. So we start at the first column. D is above A, so D gets those points. So they get 27. And the next column, A is above D, so A gets the 15. And the third column, we see that D is above A, so D gets the 11 points. I'm sorry, 11 votes. In the next column, D is above A, so D gets the 9 votes. On this column, A is above D, so A gets the 9. And in the last column, A is above D, so A gets the 1. All right, so if we add those up, okay, I have 2 9s, so I messed up somewhere. I don't have an 8, so I know I missed something right here. So you should have all of these numbers written down across here when you're done. So since I clearly made a mistake, if I look at 8, A beat D, so those should be A's points. So that should be an 8 and not a 9. Like I said, it's really easy to make a mistake on these. All right, so it's not a bad idea to look. We've got a total of 6 numbers. It's not a bad idea to look and make sure all 6 of those numbers are there. All right, if I add up D, I get 47. So D definitely won that one. So we're gonna give 1 point to D. All right, we're halfway done. Now we're gonna compare B to C. All right, so as you do this, you get a little faster as you go. C is above B, so they get the 27 votes. And the next column, B is above C, so B gets the 15 votes. And the third column, B is above C, so B gets the 11 votes. B is above C here, so B gets the 9 votes. B is above C, so B gets the 8 votes. And B is above C, so B gets the 1 vote. All right, so if we add all of those together, that should come out to be 44. It looks a whole lot like the comparison we did a minute ago. So B is the winner for that one. So we're gonna give 1 point to B. All right, so next we're gonna compare B and D. All right, so in the first column, oops, let me scoot that up a little bit. In the first column, D is above B, so we're going to give D the 27. And the next one, B is the winner, so B gets 15. And the next column, B is the winner, so B gets 11. Remember, we're just looking at B and D. And the next column, D is the winner, so they get 9. The next one, B is the winner, so B gets 8. And finally, B is the winner, and B gets 1. All right, so if I add all of those together, for B, I get 35. And for D, I get 36. So that one was super close. D barely edged him out, so D gets the point. So 1 point for D. All right, so for our very last comparison, we're going to compare C to D. So in the first column, C gets the 27 votes. The second column, D gets the 15 votes. On the third column, D is above C, so D gets the 11 votes. Here, D gets the 9 votes. Let's see, for this column, C is above D, so C gets the 8 votes. And D is above C, so D gets the 1 vote. All right, so this feels really familiar. We get the same totals that we got on the last one. All right, so D barely edged out again, so D gets a point. So 1 point for D. All right, so if we look at our point totals over here, we see that A got 1 point, B got 2, C got 0, and D got 1, 2, 3. So the winner of the election would be D. And if we rank the candidates, D would get first, B would get second, A would get third, and C would get last. Okay, so that is pairwise comparisons.